pause for thought and join in the barking with Darren Rowe on The Mindful Dog.
Welcome to the show. It's the 8th of March 2020. It's now time to catch up with our regular Canine Behavioural slots on the Sunday Cafe on Magic Talk FM with Roman Travers.
Rover is also a superb name for a dog, although it's probably overused. Darren Rowe is from Mindfulness for Dogs. Darren, is that a name that you would choose to use for a dog these days?
Certainly, Roman. I haven't heard a dog called Rover for a fair few years now,
No,
I have to admit. It's a shame, really, isn't it? 'Cause it's a great name.
It is indeed. This is kind of spooky. I can hear you like you're right here with me, but you're not right here with me. Where are you?
No, I'm in the Hamilton office today, so not on the phone.
Gee, that is
Great,
spooky.
isn't it?
I must congratulate you on your television debut, by the way. Well done.
Thank you so much. I think actually Ginger was more of a superstar than me, to be fair, don't you think?
I think you'll find everyone on the AM show was absolutely tickled pink with you and your dog. She's a superstar. Was she quite nervous being in front of all the cameras and the lights and things?
A little bit. To start off with, she was a little bit, but I think she settled into that chair. It's the first time she's really been allowed to sit in the chair, so that was probably more nervous for her than actually being on TV.
Yeah, well, maybe we can squeeze her into International Women's Day as well, because, she is a woman, kind of.
Well, exactly,
yeah,
definitely.
Who is your favourite woman? If I had to put you on the spot and ask you that.
Well, you could have asked me that one before, couldn't you?
You should be saying your wife here or something.
I should be saying my wife. I was thinking that, definitely, but I'm just trying to think of someone sort of like really famous and stuff like that. There was a...
Margaret Thatcher.
Oh gosh, I'm not sure if that... Actually, Margaret Thatcher was a really good scientist, so she was quite inspiring when I was a young kid, because I remember... Isn't it weird how your memory comes in? I remember watching on TV that she did an experiment with pH of cabbage water. And
What?
you could you could use red cabbage water to work out what pH of solutions were. There you go, that's a blast from the past. That was about 30 years ago.
I didn't know Margaret Thatcher had been a science teacher or a teacher at all. Wow.
Yeah, she was a full-on scientist before she was a politician, as far as I remember.
She would have been handy with the cane. I can imagine her being quite, a dictator.
I think she was quite a softie deep down.
Really?
I don't know her really, but I think so.
I'm not sure where we're going with this, but by the way,
not me.
if you
She
would
had a
like...
nice dog, no.
Oh, did she? If you would
think
like
so.
to text in and tell me about your favourite woman, keep those texts coming through for International Women's Day. The most inspirational woman in your life. We are talking dogs, though. Darren Rowe is from Mindfulness for Dogs. You might have seen him on the AM show. We launched his career right here on the Sunday Cafe.
You did.
We're going to talk about dog parks. To me, they're
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know what I think about dog parks. I'd rather not go. Are they a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's all down to the individual when you go to the park. I kind of keep swapping from side to side. They're a great thing, they're not a great thing. I hear all sorts of stories that make them really fantastic, and then I hear some stories from dog control that aren't great. Yeah, so I think it's really down to the way that you behave, or you allow your dog to behave when you're at the dog park, and that's down to our social responsibilities, I guess, not necessarily the dogs.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Explain allowing your dog. How well can you control your dog's reaction to a situation like that?
Yeah, so first of all, if you look at the sort of bylaws and all the sort of legal stuff around dog parks, one of the things it says is you have to have control of your dog, and having control of your dog is that you have a solid recall. Now, I don't know about you, I've been to many dog parks, and I would say probably about 2% of the dog population that actually have a recall of any sort whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, that's not sort of like dissing always people that have amazing recalls, because they're fantastic in keeping the side up, but there's a lot of people that throw their dog in there as a daycare kind of thing and don't have any control over the dog. So one thing I would say is get yourself a solid recall. If you can't do it yourself, go on the internet, find some stuff, or go to a trainer and sort that one out first. It could save your dog's life.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a very good point, isn't it? You see dogs going... Some dogs will run up to other dogs and just, sniff bums, sniff noses, wag their tails. Others, it's just a full-on aggressive stance from the start, isn't it?
It is, and that's all down to that socialisation again. So that social responsibility. When you have a dog, a small puppy, it's your responsibility to get that dog socialised from day one. And also when you have if you pick up a rescue dog, you have to assume there's been no socialisation, or an older dog is no socialisation. That's a hard one to say, isn't it? You've really got to go and get that done. Go and find a trainer, get that dog socialised with other dogs, or at least find out if that dog is actually going to be aggressive. Yeah, because if it is, don't take it to a dog park, or if you do, muzzle it.
Yeah, true. All right. Yeah. Darren Rowe here for you from Mindfulness for Dogs. He's also available through social media. Look him up. But you can have a free chat now on 0800 844 747. Darren, I know you've said consistently that you can teach an old dog new tricks. If you do go and get a rescue dog that's well beyond being a puppy, How do you change that nervous behaviour, the dog that flinches every time someone picks up something because it's used to being hit, or it doesn't like the lead being put on, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So it's all about, I kind of touched on that AM show, it's all about that fear, that new study that's gone out about dogs having real fear, anxiety and stress through fear. And it really is about that. We need to change our ideas about why dogs are having these behaviours. It's not about dominance, it's not about all that kind of rubbish, it's actually all through fear. And when we start to think about the fear, the dogs are in a fear state, then we start to have a bit of compassion for them. Not sympathy, compassion, that's a big difference, those two words, yeah. And then we can start to work through their training, because if they're scared of it, we just take them slightly away from the environment, and then we slowly build that positive association back to that object or that person or dog or whatever.
Yeah.
But it takes time, and a rescue dog, there's a lot of things that have gone on. It might not be just a fear of a bicycle, say. It might be a fear of a bicycle and a person and a dog, and you've got all that to put together. It's a lot. It's quite a bit. Think of it as a person. It's a lot to go through.
Yeah, it is. When you look at enlarged dog parks, like beaches around the country that are dog-specific, Takapuna Beach, where dogs just go crazy, is that a good idea to start with that rather than an enclosed park with fences?
Again, I think it's down to the dogs. So dogs will get excited, and most dogs, once they've been socialised, they get excited. They go over the top, and then there's a pause. If you see it, they're all playing really crazy, and then suddenly all just stop. And that's a natural pause that they learn when they're young. And quite often, a dog that's not been socialised doesn't follow that etiquette, the social cues that they've learnt when they're young. So they go over the top, and that's when the other dogs just tell them off. And then, of course, that dog's threatened, and then they come back at them, and you've got a full-scale fight going on.
Gee.
So it's spotting those cues. I mean, as a handler, you need to then step in at that point and say, actually, my dog's not coping with the situation. I'm going to take my dog away. But really, truthfully, if I had a dog like that, I probably wouldn't be putting it in that situation in the first place, because I'm putting it in a stressful situation it can't cope with. Well, there's only one result that's going to happen there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
9:13, 0800 844 747. That's the number to call now. Darren Rowe's here with me, kind of, not really. He's in Hamilton, I'm in Auckland. But you can call and have a chat now. It might be something totally unrelated to taking a dog to get it socialised. You might just have some annoying little trait that you just can't change with your dog. Darren's really handy with that. 0800 844 747. Hey, Darren, I know there was a really, really hideous story in the news this week. Tell me about that.
There was, wasn't it? I almost don't want to talk about it. It was so hideous. But there was a lovely little doggy in Auckland. I think it's in Pukekohe, I think it was. Yeah. And as far as I'm aware, the dog either got out or escaped and was lost for about 2 weeks. And the owners were desperately looking. They put posters up all over the place trying to find this dog. It's a beautiful little dog if you see the picture. And I suppose the worst outcome for owners and dogs is to find the dog's been killed. And normally it's like a car's hit it or something like that. But in this particular instance, I'm sort of welling up even thinking about it, but the dog was found beheaded. And it was clearly someone has done that. And we go on all the time about dogs being aggressive and, in dog parks fighting and stuff. And then we look at situations like this and say, well, who's the worst ones here? Is it people or is it dogs? You know what I mean? I mean, a dog, you don't see a dog going and try and behead another dog, do you?
There's some very odd people around. Yeah. It must be a real concern for you when you're looking at people that you can see whether they're really kind towards their animals or not. I know that I kind of flinch when I see someone who's particularly aggressive with their dog, and if they're prepared to do that in public, what are they doing when they get home? Well,
that's right. And I think Angela, I've forgotten her name now, for the SPCA, Mr. Midgen, she said that thankfully these things are quite a rare occasion, so and that's the good thing over the extremes. But just like you say, down to those little tiny things that are happening, they happen all the time. I think a lot of people don't realise how much they're hurting their dogs when they're doing it. Is that education again? That's one of the things that Mindfulness for Dogs is all about, educating people to realise that they're being negative and they're hurting their dogs. And again, depending on your background, if you grow up with a family structure that's quite aggressive, then that's the norm, isn't it? So it's not something you think is bad for your dog.
Yeah, true.
So
and as we've spoken about before, frequently, more often than not, it's about your lack of, your inadequacy, and you get so frustrated you start yelling at a dog who's looking at you. You may as well be speaking, Outer Mongolian cabbage farmer language or something, and they have no idea what you're saying. Darren Rowe from Mindfulness for Dogs. If you were watching the AM show during the week, you would have seen Darren on the tally, drove all the way from Cambridge with his beautiful dog. And you were talking, I was driving the other way to Hamilton when I was listening to it. The dog starts to pant. Does that mean the dog is nervous?
Yeah, so quite often when we get nervous and we get stressed, we need to get oxygen into our body, and that kind of like breaks down the adrenaline and stuff like that. If you think about when you do a big run, particularly like Nat's running today, she's going to be trying to get a lot of oxygen into her body.
Heck yeah.
So that heavy panting can sometimes, because dogs don't sweat, so that can be that heavy panting can be an indicator that they're a little bit stressed. And given that situation which Ginger was in, there was like always lights down on her. It was quite warm and everything. There's these strange people beaming at her and all these weird things being pushed into her face. It was quite a stressful situation for her, but she coped really well, actually. There was if you watched the video, there wasn't a lot of licking and that sort of stuff, so she coped really well.
Yeah,
I
good.
was quite proud of her.
Oh, they're nice people on the AM show, they really are. So
Yeah.
you might be heading out to think about buying a new puppy. You might have a new puppy
puppies.
lined up. I'd love to hear from you if you are buying one. What made you choose the particular breed? And if you want some advice around the training of this puppy, then this is the time to get it. 0800 844 747. Darren's about to get a couple more dogs.
I
Darren.
know. Can you believe it? We must be mad. Mind you, I must be, because I woke up at 4 o'clock and drove down to Auckland.
Wow.
So I must be crazy. Yeah, we're getting 2 little border collie puppies. We're not quite sure what colours yet because they've not been born. But what we are doing is blogging the whole experience, even from now. So we're about to release a blog that my wife is writing, actually, will be really cool, of all the whole experience about the why we picked the dogs, why we picked that certain breed, all those kind of questions that you just asked, really. So, you can check that out on the website probably next week.
How do we see that, Darren?
So you can go to the website. It's www.mindfulnessfordogs.com. If you can't remember that, just type in m4dogs.com. Just make it a bit easier. Or you can just find me on social media. Just search for Darren Rowe with a D-A-R-R-A-N. You'll find me everywhere.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, get some free advice about your pooch or the pooch you want to get. 0800 844 747. Donna, what sort of dog have you got?
We haven't got it yet, but we're about to go and pick one up. It's a miniature fox terrier, and we have a problem we have a small acreage in Auckland. We have a problem with rats and also a lot of rabbits, and we were hoping that this little dog might be a good little rodent hunter.
Good morning, Donna. Well, I think you probably picked the right breed there, definitely. We had a Jack Russell for years, just seemed to live forever. And if we had we had a coal bunker and we put her in there and she came out with 21 mice, which doesn't say much about us, but yeah, they are fantastic dogs. Just one thing though, because you've just got the little puppy, just don't let them run around completely free on that acreage from day one, because their little bones are still forming and there's growth plates, so we don't want them like tearing around being too crazy, so make sure they're confined in a smaller area at the beginning. But apart from that, yeah, you've definitely got the right motivation, because they're what we call the kill bite dogs. They want to grab things and rip them to pieces, so do lots of training with squeaky toys.
It's not a Jack Russell, it's a miniature fox terrier.
Yeah, so those kind of dogs, I put Jack Russells, it's called, I can't believe I'm saying it, but Jack Russells and fox terriers, they're still those sort of kill bite dogs, the ones that want to chase and catch things.
All right. And
So,
how would one train it to actually get the rabbits as opposed to get our chickens?
So it's what you introduce again when they're very young. So on a lead, and you socialise with the chickens. You keep them on the lead, and you make sure that they don't get into that predator-prey drive of wanting to kill it. So just literally make it a normal thing. And of course, the other things is the chase. That's the thing that they'll be cued into. So as soon as they chase, they'll go after them. So if they're on a lead, they're never going to learn to chase the chickens. Yeah.
Right.
But get lots of little squeaky toys, make sure they're squeakies, and play with those, and that will encourage them to sort of grab, bite and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And one other thing then, if we were wanting them to chase the rabbits, we'd obviously have to let it off the lead to do that. So
Yeah, but not young.
How do we work towards that?
Yeah, so you don't want them doing that massive sprinting and really tearing around till they're about 1 year old. So you've got a bit of time yet to train them. So you might want to be using your other methods for the first year. It's well worth doing, because you're going to end up, if you don't, you're going to end up with dogs that have sort of real problems, arthritis and all that kind of stuff later. So try and refrain yourself for that first year, but you can always have them sort of on a longer lead, and you can sort of teach them to be with you and stuff like that. There's a lot of training you can do in 1 year. That's a natural instinct. It's a natural instinct to chase things, these guys, so you're not going to have to train that, I don't think.
Okay. When we bring it home, the man took it to the vet and had its first vaccination.
That's cool.
He said the puppy was a wee bit sick in the car. We've got a 5.5 hour drive to bring puppy home next week. What would be the best method of bringing it home? Should it be fed first or...
No, definitely not fed first. Yeah, definitely not fed
Okay.
first. If you think if there's something in its stomach and it's feeling sick, it's going to bring it all up. Yeah, make sure there's some water there. We had
Yes.
our setter when we first had our setters back in the UK. They were horrendously ill in the car, and we didn't really think about this one at all. So we had them on the back seat. It was a cloth sort of car, so you can imagine by the end of 2 hour journey we had, it was sick everywhere. So put a plastic sheet down, maybe a crate. Put them in the crate, and loads of newspaper, all that kind of stuff, and just prepare for the worst. You might be lucky. You never know.
And would that probably be something they would grow out of because they weren't
Yeah.
used to being in a car?
Yeah, so a lot of dogs is, and I'm not really medical, perhaps you can phone Charlie next time and ask her about that, but their ear problems, the ears are still developing or they're not quite right, and the whole balance thing isn't quite right for some dogs there. So it's all about that really, generally. Obviously, if it keeps going on for a long time, then you want to go and seek advice from a vet anyway, but
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all that advice.
not a problem. How exciting.
Yeah, I reckon that is pretty cool. I can still remember going to pick up my Border Terrier as a puppy. Exactly the same thing happened. A bit of vomiting in the car. Not me, the dog. And then I felt like vomiting as well because it's just
And
horrible.
that's disgusting, isn't it?
Oh, it's
Do you know what, I was training a little Border Terrier this week. I thought about you, a little puppy. Gorgeous.
Was it a red grizzle or a black and tan?
Slightly grizzle.
Oh, yeah. Now,
Yeah,
so Max was a red grizzle, and for those who don't know the Border Terrier, they go, oh, yeah, Border Terrier, I know that. You go and have a look at it, and you go, oh, wow, it's not a typical dog. It's getting
very
more
different.
common, but the black and tan is quite stunning, isn't it? Yeah,
It is, yeah. This was a real cutie as well.
Oh, what do they call it?
I'm not going to say the dog's name
Oh, okay.
because I'm going to be putting it on Facebook. So
Oh, it's probably Rover. Yeah. Hey, the other thing too about that previous caller, I didn't know you could get a miniature fox terrier.
you can get miniature anything nowadays, and then there's the next step down, which is a teacup, which I'm totally against, and they're breeding the small little dogs down, and it's not good for the dogs. But yeah,
No. It's
They're
all
pretty
about
small
image.
anyway, aren't they?
It's all
Yeah.
about image. So you can walk down Courtney Place or
Ooh.
Ponsonby Road with a dog in your stupid handbag. I don't get that.
yeah. Have you got a handbag?
No, well, no, not anymore. I call it a satchel. You know, men call a handbag. Anyway, all right. 0800 844 747 if you'd like to get some advice. Maybe you are buying a new dog. You might be getting a puppy, or you might be getting one of those ones that's on death row, and you might be going to go and rescue that. Get some free advice right now with Darren Rowe. Hey, here's a text from Lynette. It just says, we have a spoodle that's aged 11 and a half. We travel regularly, and he's now getting very anxious, huffing while in the car, and he used to be a great traveller. We've been giving him Rescue Remedy, which worked for a while but doesn't seem to work now, says Lynette. What do you reckon there, Darren?
I was actually going to mention the rescue remedy to the woman before, but I'm just not. The reason I didn't was I'm not sure whether you should give it to a young, very small puppy dog, so you'd have to check with someone about that one. I'm not sure about the contents of it. The rescue remedy I've used regularly, and it's very good, but if it's like anything. If something changes, then stop using it, because obviously the dog is not reacting to it in the right way. There could well have been maybe an incident where the dog's got scared or something like that, and then it's changed the behaviours. It'll be a really hard one. That would be the type of person I'd have to sit down and really talk to them about what's been happening and what's going on around that whole car situation. Also, she's 11 and a half, so it may indicate some kind of medical issue that's coming to the front. Possibly, it might be worth getting that checked out. I don't know. Obviously, without seeing the dog, that's a bit of a far-fetched one to talk about. But
Yeah.
that could be at that age. Things like that start like us really. Things start not working as well as they should do.
Yeah, and that's right. And on the Sunday Cafe, we do have a vet section now, a vet from Cambridge who joins us on a relatively regular basis. So here's another text. This one's from Bruce. Good dog advice. Good pat on the back for you, Darren Rowe.
Thank you, Bruce.
Good dog advice. I've had careers in hill country farming and with the police. And he says here, I've always said horses, dogs and children need the same disciplines, respect and affections. Both
It's funny,
from-
isn't it? It's very similar, yeah.
Yeah, both from the owners and towards dependents. Good stuff, says Bruce.
Brilliant. Do you know what? My first dog was called Bruce. So great name as well, Bruce.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he'd like that, actually.
No, he was an amazing dog, so Bruce must be an amazing person. So
Yeah, no doubt.
There you
No
go.
doubt. All right, so is it fair to say we are well and truly into puppy season, and people probably have their puppies by now?
we've been into puppy season since Christmas.
Right.
We've had, our puppy classes have been completely booked out pretty much since the beginning of Christmas and before that. So, and I'm sure that's the same pretty much across New Zealand. Hey, I've got one thing just before we do it I forgot to mention. when you take your dog to a dog park, if it's an aggressive dog and you're muzzling it, okay, always keep it on a lead. I've seen a few times recently that dogs have been running around off lead with a muzzle, and that's really great because they get to run around. But then there's been another dog that's come into the park that isn't necessarily muzzled but is a little bit aggressive, and then that sets on your muzzled dog, and then of course your muzzled dog has no way of retaliating and then gets really hurt. So just be a bit mindful, I guess, of that whole concept. When it's on a muzzle, it can't defend itself, and it's not all dogs in the park are nice.
It's always intrigued me. It's even without owning a dog these days, I can stand there and watch just how incredible it is. A dog comes along, they unclip the lead, they open the gate, and this dog runs into a sea of dogs, and they all just seem to get on.
Yeah, it's that interaction between us and the dog that causes the problem, unfortunately.
Oh, right.
There's so many people that come to me of, my dog's fantastic, goes to daycare every day and it's amazing. And then as soon as I put him on a lead, it's this crazy thing. Well, I think that one through, it's something to do with you, isn't it? Because that's the only difference.
Yeah.
And it's about teaching the owner how to be mindful and calm and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's what we do basically.
Now, we all love our old dogs, but when they all do start sort of crapping out and getting a bit sort of slow and sluggish, and issues arise, when is it too soon for the old dog to have a new dog introduced into your life?
When is it too soon? Oh, that's a really interesting one, because we've got a 14-and-a-half-year-old girl called Magic now, and you might have seen her on my Facebook page. Great name, I think, for the radio station. And she is she's just got to the age now where she wants puppies. Believe it or not. She's basically been this 2-year-old dog for the last 10 years. And we've told her we're getting puppies, and I'm not joking, she's got so excited, she's bouncing around like a little 2-year-old again. So it just depends on the dog. It's good to make sure that the other dog you have is well trained, because puppies will learn from that dog way more than you. So if you've got a naughty older dog, then that older dog is going to teach your puppies all the bad behaviours so much quicker than you can teach the good ones, I guarantee.
Yeah. Hey, Darren, I'm looking forward to seeing these blogs of you and your journey with the new dogs. How do people catch up with you, and how do people see these blogs again?
Yep, so you just jump onto the website. It's mindfulnessfordogs.com, or I'm going to be advertising us on Facebook, so just search out Mindfulness for Dogs Facebook. Also, if you guys want to jump onto and search for Mindfulness for Dogs community, there's a little private community page that we talk about a lot more detail.
Oh, I want a dog.
I can get you a dog.
Stop it. I want a Border Terrier again. I'll do it again one day. Darren Rowe,
I know some good breeders.
Oh, well, stop it. Hey, good to catch up with you, Darren. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Thank you, Roman. If you want to get involved, you can catch us again on the Sunday Cafe on Magic Talk FM. The next episode is on the 22nd of March, and that starts at 9:05. Don't forget, you can phone me on 0800 844 747 for a chat, or you can text on 3920. Text costs 20 cents.
You've been listening to Darren Rowe on The Mindful Dog, giving our canine friends a voice throughout the world. To find out more about what we do, visit our website at www.mindfulnessfordogs.com.